Welcome to another episode of Cultural Caravan TV. We are here at the National Black Theater in the village of Harlem as they celebrate 48 years of keeping soul alive with the 7th annual Teer Spirit Awards Gala, honoring 7 extraordinary artists, business people, and scholars. Welcome and join us on this journey. We're here at the Teer Spirit Awards Gala with the CEO of the National Black Theater, Sade Lithcott. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Oh, I love that you guys are here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you've been basically keeping the soul alive, as it says in your theme on the program, for 48 years in Harlem. So what makes this year's awards gala special and unique?
I think every year that we survive Harlem changing, that we are able to do groundbreaking work is special. So this year in particular, we're celebrating 7 really incredible spirits that keep soul alive in our culture and in our country. So I'm excited about all of our awardees. In particular, I have a sweet spot for Michael K. Williams because he got his acting start here at the National Black Theater when he was a teenager. So it's like a homecoming for him, and he's done such incredible work on and off screen. But all of the awardees, I'm really just so honored that they said yes and that they're here in the building tonight.
Yes, and it's interesting that National Black Theater should be a beacon for individual actors, but it's also one of the longest running theaters in the country. Can you share with us how is that possible when there's so many theaters, no matter what the cultural theme of the theater, that have not survived? What's your secret?
I think that my mother, when she founded the theater in 1968, she was very clear about artists owning their space, right? So that we should be entrepreneurial artists. And so one of the reasons why we're still here and we're thriving is she had the vision in 1983 to purchase the city block. So not only are we producers of theater, we are also owners of our own space. And that enables us to afford other people's space. It enables us to have an economic engine so that we don't have to compromise on our art. And I think that that's essential as we think about our creativity. We have to also think about the importance of the institution. So the brick and mortar, it's wonderful to have creative outlets, but it's also important to fertilize the soil that allows those creatives to exist, and that's really in institution building. So my mom, as proud as she was of the art, she was as proud, if not more, to be an institution builder.
Yes, Dr. Barbara Ann Teer definitely left a blueprint for the rest of us to continue that sort of work. Your artistic director had mentioned that the theme of this year's season was joy, and we were talking about that juxtaposed to all of the struggles that are highlighted in the media now that Black people are going through every single day. So can you kind of share with us what made you all really go with that theme of joy, and how do you kind of balance that between why are we talking about joy when Black people are catching heck out here?
Right. So the theme of our 48th season was In Pursuit of Black Joy. So we didn't look at it as a destination, and what we attempted to do with all of the different programs and productions was to dispel the idea of what Black joy looks like. So to dispel the idea of the stereotypes and the tropes that Black joy looks like singing, Black joy looks like dance. Black joy looks like resistance. Black joy looks like survival. Black joy looks like the articulation of our ancestors' wildest dreams. And so we wanted to have a complex conversation around joy because the backdrop of everything you watch on the news paints us in a box that we're not allowed to be joyous, or labels us in very specific, I think dangerous, subversive ways of expressing ourselves. So we wanted to own it, we wanted to explore it, and we thought that in this day and age where you're watching the death of so many young Black people as entertainment on a loop, that this would be the safe and sacred space to honor a different narrative.
Wow, giving voice to the complexity of our people is definitely something to celebrate. Thank you so much, Sade, for all that you do, and thank you for speaking to the Cultural Caravan.
Thank you.
You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful that the sun shines just to bless you, that the moon glows just to bless you, that the wind blows just to touch you. Oh.
The Frederica L. Teer Award is given to acknowledge individuals for being a visionary and catalyst for institution building. And one way that a theater transforms into an institution is through its missions and its productions, and that is what NBT does and has done for a long time. And here to present our first award of the evening, the Atunde Samuel Award, is award-winning actor, musician, and educator. He also just happens to currently be starring in the hit ABC show, Designated Survivor. You know, I had to get a plug in for my employers. And also, he's going to be starring in the upcoming show, The Real OG, with Tracy Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Malik Yoba.
Why y'all laughing? He's here in spirit. I just spoke to him. He's in LA, working on his next project. That's a blessing. So when they asked me to come and present the award to Michael K. Williams, I love this cat, Kenneth. Brooklyn Boy Made Good. That's his Instagram, if you follow him. Michael's first job was actually on New York Undercover. And as we come here and support the legacy and the spirit of Barbara Ann Teer, and obviously the work that continues with her daughter, Sade, I think it's important that we do pay homage to those that have come before us. And so again, in the spirit of preserving legacy and honoring those that have come before us, it's an honor for me to recognize my brother who calls me and everybody else beloved. And I love that. People that can greet each other with beloved, and he really means it. And he's very, very apologetic that he can't be here tonight, but I'm happy to receive this on behalf of our brother, Michael K. Williams.
We are honored to be joined by Tyrell Alvin McCraney, the Oscar, Golden Globe, NAACP award-winning playwright, who most recently is known for winning Best Adapted Screenplay for Moonlight. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, being that you have won so many illustrious awards already, what makes tonight's award special for you?
Oh, there's nothing like being honored in the community. There's nothing like standing amongst your peers and the people who have brought you so far in your life, and finding camaraderie, but also celebrating their accomplishments. I mean, to me, that's what this feels like. This feels like a homecoming, and that's always special in particular.
Indeed, and it seems as if your work has also inspired others and also led to your appointment as the department chair for the playwriting department at Yale. What do you think is the connection for you between your art and scholarship?
Scholarship, to me, in terms of the way in which we investigate art, has to do with self-awareness and introversion. Once an artist decides to take up the mantle of being a playwright, which is something that requires a lot of alone time, a lot of wrestling with one's own thoughts and ideas, and trying to bring them to the fore, that to me has to be nurtured and cared for. There's not a lot of times, when is the last time we asked a child to sort of sit down, imagine a world, and bring it to us? We often don't encourage our young people to do that. And so for me, it's always a part of, ingraining that thought process with our young people, that their thoughts, their ideas, their imagination is so important and necessary because they can imagine the future we don't have.
Well, speaking of youth, especially in your role at Yale, it brings to mind just the fact that you were able for a long time through your work to bring about your truth and your unique story as a black man, intersecting, race, sexuality, all those different themes. What would you give as advice to young people who are artists who might be struggling with how to bring forth their authentic story?
Well, as the scholar Crenshaw talks about intersectionality and the work that she's done to bring that to the fore, it's really important to be aware of where the cross sections of your life meet. Also, though, it's really important that young people not necessarily take themselves apart as much as bring their full self to the table. There's sometimes we sort of sit down and sort of try to label all of ourselves in one piece. And I don't think that's what the work of intersectionality is. I think it's to highlight how all of those things make us one person. And I think oftentimes the advice to young people is to just bring, warts and all, your full self to the work, if that makes any sense. Bring all the quirks and idiosyncratic things that make you you to the table, and they will produce the work that is most interesting to the world.
Tyrell was my student at the Yale School of Drama, and it's very rare that you encounter a student's writing where they write so well you feel like you never have to write again. And Tyrell was one such student. I think that Tyrell continues to preach. Whether it be his beautiful Brothers Sisters plays, or whether it be his breathtaking Academy Award-winning Moonlight, he's someone who has a tremendous amount to say, and I appreciate your presence. And I'm so glad that they're honoring you with this Trailblazer Award, because you truly are a trailblazer. So, Tyrell, please come up and accept your award.
Thank you. I appreciate that. People don't take into consideration that I'm 6'4". I think one of the things that my students, I flew here from Miami just a couple hours ago, and one of the things that happened as I left was my students all screamed, "Where are you going?" As I headed to the airport. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to be recognized for this award." And they said, "Well, did you write anything?" And I said, "No." And one of my students, particularly gifted young actress, said, who's 14 today, said, "Oh, you don't have to write anything down to remember thank you." The ability for the committee to recognize that I am walking a path, but that a path that has been blazed by women, particularly Barbara Ann Teer, Lynn Nottage, the women in this room, Tina Fabrique, people who consistently find ways to acknowledge methods and means to uplift, to hold the community together. Barbara Askins, the ability to find room for us. So I want to thank you for sending me this Forget Me Not. It's helping me to remember that my job is not to blaze ahead and leave behind, but to walk together. Thank you.
We We are pleased to be joined by Barbara Askins, President and CEO of the 125th Street Business Improvement District, or some people call it the 125th Street Harlem Bid. Welcome to Cultural Caravan.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, you are one of the wonderful awardees tonight. Please tell us, what does it feel like to be honored by the National Black Theater?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, you know, you get awards all the time, but to get an award right here in your own community, right in the major district that you're working with, from the National Black Theater that I saw grow when I first came here, and that has inspired me so much in my work in terms of preserving the arts and the importance of the arts. It's like almost surreal, you know, because I remember the theater before the awards, and now that they've grown to this and I'm selected, I'm just really overwhelmed a little bit.
Well, you know, I'm sure that it's well deserved. I know a lot of people don't like to toot their own horn, but if there's something that you're most proud of in terms of your career, either with the 125th Street bid or otherwise, what would it be?
Well, I think for me, right now, particularly, okay, let's do two. 125th Street, we introduced the cultural bonus, which elevated the consciousness of the people in Harlem as well as the city, that arts and culture should be a driving tool for the future growth of Harlem, because that opens up doors for small businesses, and open up doors for the creatives, and we need to have on 125th Street arts and culture permeating in every block. I think that means the most to me because I am an artist, I'm a visual artist, and I feel that economic development is all just a part of the creative process, but with the arts here, you can see it. You can see it, you don't have to wonder. People are always like, what's so exciting about Harlem? Well, the arts help you to see it, you know, and all the time. And that, we can do that, and we can make it to where art is just really just permeating out of 125th Street. That would be a great accomplishment for me.
Sister Deb, I am so proud to call you my sister, but how do you do it? Your life is impossible. You're always on the go. How do you do it? And now I'm called upon for an even more difficult task, to speak words that will honor you when so many others have done it more eloquently, more elegantly. Try to help these good people know what it means to have been acknowledged and celebrated with the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Award. Are you a genius? Does it rub off? I hope so. What's it like to be a John Simon Guggenheim Fellow, pulling down barriers, opening lenses into new vistas and ways of seeing? Oh yeah, a couple of honorary degrees too. Dr. Deborah Willis, I thank you for being the living spirit of promise, of radical love, of unceasing passion, for all those paths you cross and all those people you bring together. And on behalf of Dr. Barbara Ann Teer's National Black Theater, I'm honored to give you this token of gratitude from all of us, the Spirit Award.
To think about, my message has always been in search of beauty and Black joy. And that's the basic part of what I experienced with watching Barbara Ann Teer walk down the street. I was in awe of her spirit. And to actually have that experience to accept this award really means a lot to me. And to thank all of you for being here and being friends, and to have Imani Azuri's voice speak to us, and to say thank you to all. Thank you.
And we are honored to be joined by playwright and scholar Richard Wesley. Welcome to the Cultural Caravan.
Well, thank you. It's very nice to be here.
So, as somebody that has won Drama Desk, Adelco, what makes being at the National Black Theater and being honored at the Teer Spirit Awards so special?
Well, it's the theater itself is connected to the beginnings of my career, in the sense that when I first came to Harlem after I graduated from Howard, the National Black Theater was one of the first institutions that I became familiar with. And I had a years-long friendship with the former managing producer here, Tunde Samuel.
Yes.
Yeah, Tunde, we go back to when Tunde was still in his teens. And this was always a place to come back to, like if I was out on the coast or when I was traveling. When I came back home, I used to come up here, sit down and spend time with Tunde. I came here to see a lot of different shows. I was familiar with Dr. Teer from even when I was a student at Howard, because she was on the cover of one of the early iterations of the annual theater issue in the Black World magazine, after it switched over from being Negro Digest. And I remember seeing her photograph and reading about her. And so when I did get to Harlem, she was one of the people I wanted to meet, learn from, get to know. And so now, being given an award that carries her name and her spirit, well, that's very special.
Good evening. How are you? So when I got this email asking if I could present this award to this incredible woman, I said, what? Of course, of course, of course. I first saw her work over 30 years ago, this production of Their Eyes Were Watching God. Look. Yes, I saw that. I was like, oh, this woman is taking this work off the page and bringing it to life. To see this woman teach, choreograph, and dance, you fall in love immediately.
I give a huge thank you to the committee that has given me this award. I can't tell you what it means to me to have an award given in the name of Dr. Barbara Ann Teer. And I feel blessed. I thank God and the ancestors that I actually knew her. We were friends. She inspired me to no end. She was a mover, a shaker. She took no stuff. If she had an idea, this is going to happen, it happened. And she had it happen through boldness or through sweet finesse. So I want to say thank you for helping me merge theater into my dance. And thank you, Barbara Ann Teer, for the legacy, and may it always endure. Thank you.
From Afro-Punk's cult classic documentary in 2003 and its first festival in 2005, Afro-Punk has served as a platform for community and the centering of our Blackness. It has destigmatized and celebrated our diversity and complexity and created sacred spaces for our freedom and wholeness. With an online platform that reaches millions and annual festivals in Paris, London, Atlanta, and Johannesburg, Afro-Punk has gone global. What was once a vision became a movement, and a movement an institution. Matthew and Jocelyn, you reunite our diaspora at every festival. You give artists the gift of seeing themselves reflected in their audience, which is oftentimes contrary to their touring experience. You've demonstrated the significance of our economic buying power and our interests as a market. You've provided us with important calls to action and, of course, delivered incredible soundtracks for the movement. For giving space to our artistry, our power, our resistance, and our beauty, we thank you. It is my pleasure to present to you the Frederica L. Teer Award for Institution Building. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matthew Morgan and Jocelyn Cooper of Afro-Punk.
We accept this on behalf of our community, and we will work tirelessly to keep the torch alive, to promote our culture to the community, to bring young people into the work that we do so that they carry on the torch for years and years and years to come. So thank you.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of context to our next season, and we're going to kind of spill the beans about what next season is going to be. You got to see a little snippet of Peculiar Patriot, but the idea of next season, this season is about In Pursuit of Black Joy. Next season is about Black to the future, about how we think in a futuristic stance, how we are visionaries in the space in which we occupy, and how because we occupy that space, we create an alternate reality that helps to heal, liberate, and actually uplift the kind of beauty, the complexity, and the nuance that is found in humanity within our course of our veins. So that will be a whole bunch of like one-person shows dealing with that. Peculiar Patriot will be one of them. We also have Sancho, and then we also will have a world premiere by Christina Anderson, the story of Margaret Morton. And then we also will be doing 3 workshop productions through our I Am Soul Player residency program. So something you should know about NBT, just to give a little plug about it. We are one of the only theater companies in the country that has a residency program that gives a Black playwright a home for 18 months with a commitment to a production. So we have about 3 years of that. Infonisa Udofia, who had her world premiere of the play that she developed here, her portmanteau, at New York Theater Workshop. And then we had Oren Squire, who is now a lead writer of This Is Us. And currently, we have Dennis A. Allen, who's here, and Nambi Kelly. We also have Derek McFadder, who is in Chicago, so hope to broaden it to a national program. So Derek McFadder and also Angelica Cherie in California. And so this is a program that's helping to diversify and radicalize the canon of Black theater, to give, an American theater, to give a space for voices that might be considered other, a home that sees them, that gives them love, and that says that your voice matters. Your voice is seen. We have resources to develop that voice, and we are willing to commit behind that voice to allow for radicalness to be a part of your tongue, not to be subdued by your own whatever that might mean. So that's what we do here at NBT.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Cultural Caravan TV. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast and you'll join us for many episodes to come.